Hey out there, this is Thursday, March 11th, 2021. And here in Northern California, it's just about 6 minutes past 7 in the morning. Today, as usual, I'll talk about a few different things. And like I like to tell people up front, the only reason I bother putting out this series is because I believe the information that I have to share, or just the question mark, whether or not to research for yourself the stuff I talk about, and its relativeness, because I feel like there's a whole lot of confusion and ignorance in society, and it's there for multiple reasons. Mostly to keep the public at large disempowered. That's society as a whole. They want you stupid because when you're stupid, you lack confidence. You feel inferior to the people that are running the show, that create the policies we all have to live under. And there's this huge sundry array of issues we all have, issues. And we need to be able to sort those things out. And it's so important that we understand the necessity to turn to a loving God for advice. And the good news is that you have that. We have that as individuals. And at the end of the day, that's probably the most powerful piece of advice I can ever offer anyone, is that a relationship with your owner, as dry as that sounds, that is the truth, because nobody created themselves. Nobody made themselves. We know the biology. We know, just like every other creature out there, male and female, that's how they procreate, right? It's called mating. So what parents did for their children came instinctively. It wasn't something they could be proud about. It was just something they were driven to do, compelled to do by nature. The laws of nature dictated that the earth would be populated. And it was a command of God to do this thing. So we didn't do anything wrong here. People talk about overpopulation and all these reasons to be haters of humanity at large. It's just, if you embrace these ideas, they start sounding practical and correct and right and somehow altruistic. This for the greater good, we got to get rid of, look at the Georgia Guidestones. They would need to get rid of well over 90% of the public. If we're almost at 8 billion now on Earth, they want to get it down to 500 million. To give you an idea of the kind of haters we're talking about here. These are the powerful elitists. These aren't your elite. Elite in and of itself is fairly innocuous. It's basically anyone, I'm elite this, elite that, whatever. Like the Marines, the Marines, the elite of the military services, what they, think of themselves, whether that's true or not is not the point. But the point is, an elitist is somebody that's a distinct hypocrite. Okay, they live by a double standard, and that's what they peddle, and they find a roundabout way through subterfuge to mind F the public. They train us, is what they want us trained so that these people are insane, you got to understand, so they can't teach with any kind of veracity, any kind of viability, any kind of sensibility or logic or intellect, true intellect, because these people are out of their nuts. They're out of their minds. They're psychopaths. It's just like a detective in crimes. The crime people commit, it blows their mind. They can't believe it. We all know those kind of people exist. You and I say, oh my God, I'm so far removed from doing that. Totally. The vast majority of people are. But what does it take? How many turds in the punch bowl does it take to make the punch inconsumable? These people are stealing our very happiness. You can't be happy while you're bugged by a million and one invented things. And it all comes down to the power of the purse, okay, the money. This is what the enmity with God is. This is what's at odds. This is this whole satanic spirit. This is where its power is derived from. You've got to fundamentally understand. In any kind of a heaven, a perfect world, we can't have any form of money. It too easily corrupts the hearts and minds of men. We can't handle it. You understand? We cannot handle money. Look at history. I mean, I'm just saying, look empirically, just look at it. Look at the history of what it's done to us. It's so freaking evil, man. So many of these homicides. I watched the first 48 hours show, this new cop show, real live detective stuff. I mean, it's hardcore stuff. And it's, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. This guy got killed over what? $6? Oh my God. I mean, our species is sick, perverted, freaky, man. I mean, we got to see that. We got to turn to God and say, God, help us, because we're a family, and I got to love my enemy, and I got to show mercy and compassion and reach out and try to save people from the flames of hell that are lapping at their behinds. It's my responsibility, my obligation to you as your friend, your servant, of my own free will and accord. That's a relationship he wants. It's written even in the Bible. Just like that, the relationship God, the Holy Father, our owner, mom and dad, that's God Almighty, the Almighty Creator God of the universe and everything contained therein, wants to be your friend. You see, he cares about you on a personal level, and me and all of us. We're what it's all about. We're precious treasures, and we gotta be on the same page. We got to get it. We got to see through his eyes and start treating each other like that, like a family, and understand the inextricable interconnectivity of the human race, the human species, and how screwed up we are and how pissed off he is and let down and hurt and everything else bad. We're not pleasing him. You wonder why the wrath is on the land? It's not him doing it. He's just saying, you want it your way? I'm pulling my hand of protection. You disgust me. He's pulling away. And it feels bad. And we've got to get that to return. We've got to get him to relent. Okay? We've got what we need and have his hand of protection on us. We've got to care about the least of men. I mean, Jesus spelled this out, man. It's call ourselves a Christian nation, for God's sake. No more freaking homelessness, man. God Almighty, can't we see that? My happiness, your happiness is at stake here. I would love to be worldly and enjoy it, to be extravagant even. I mean, screw everybody. I want to drive around in my new Corvette, whatever the hell car floats my boat. And if I want a jet plane at my fingertips anytime I want to use it, or if I want a yacht, or whatever my little heart desires, I want to live here, I want to live there. I'm fickle. I ought to be able to do it. You ought to be able to do it. God's not withholding that from me or you or anybody. But don't you understand that he's watching this? He's seeing how we're treating the least among these, he said. So the least of men is Jesus Christ himself. You've got to, these teachings are to be taken literally. Okay, metaphor, simulation, it doesn't. It's the same thing. Reality, if it feels real, it's real. I mean, we live in a life and death reality. People better than you and I. For all we know, we haven't met them all, so you can't judge them. You can generalize. We have a lot of drunks and lazy people and drug addicts and whatever, just riffraff. What's your mind is evil. That's Jesus Christ you're thinking in your heart and mind. It's going to come out in your words and your deeds, your lack of concern, your lack of love for people, and and we all live together in this soup, this S soup, and you know what the S stands for. And we all got to drink it. We all got to consume it. It's like being stuck on that bus with a demon-possessed bus driver, drunk on the blood of saints. We're all stuck together on it, man. And he's headed right into a fog bank. You see it getting thicker and thicker, and he says, the answer is step on the gas. I mean, that's the madman running the show. I'm not talking about the president. I'm not talking about Congress and Senate. Okay, they're the ones, they're the fascia. the figurehead for these people. But they're just ones that pass what they want. The dictators that hold the purse strings, they're the ones hidden in the shadows, the occultists. They're the ones you got to watch out for. They're the one in 100,000 FBI agents that's a bad seed, a bad apple. But he slipped through the cracks because of his cunning wit and deceitful character. I mean, he got in there. But it screws it up for everybody. It's just like how we all got to have keys. We all got to have a bunch of keys, don't we? Why? Because 1 out of 10,000 people, or whatever the statistics are, would dare enter your home or your automobile or anything else that doesn't belong to them. People in their right mind don't want what doesn't belong to them. It's that simple. It's that simple. So that's key to right mind. You got to, in our right mind. But society at large is not in their right mind because we've been trained to be out of our minds. Nothing makes sense in this society. Look at the pay structure. It's just satanic at its basis. It's just like there's nothing there that makes any sense. Nothing at all. It's totally unfair. It's totally unjust. And it's painful as hell, and it hurts everybody. There's a chain reaction. All you need is one area of your life that you can't get away from spending money on. Let's say it's housing, because it's an essential human need, a basic essential human need. So you absolutely, it's imperative, vital. It has to do with your very survival that you pay your housing cost. And if that thing keeps going up unnaturally, you understand, we got to understand the stuff that's bugging us can either be natural or it could be unnatural. It can either be organic or it can be artificial. Okay, the organic stuff, to differentiate the two, is always across the board. It affects us all the same. We all have to deal with it. There's nothing we can do. We can't complain too much because everybody has to deal with that same crap. Okay, use your imagination, what I'm talking about. Okay, and then the other side is invented. It's biased. It's discriminating. It's selective in who it chooses to poke with the pitchfork, so to speak, to put the burden on, to put the vice to, okay, to make their lives harder and harder and harder because it's all about theft. Do you understand? I mean, look at just the federal minimum wage standard. It was based on a standard of living at the inception. They didn't just, let's just pay them 50 cents an hour. Based on nothing. I mean, it takes $2 to live. Somebody might object to basic, to be poor. So what do you have to have welfare, or do you pay them fairly at least to not need welfare? Right. All right. So they said it. So there was this given standard of living. Okay. And it's been eroded. My entire life I've watched this process unfold. It's been painful because I know what is allowed to happen. By doing that, what's been allowed to happen is the dilution, the debasement. You've heard that term, currency debasement, the debasement of the money supply, which translates to the deworthment. It's just like watering something down. You could say, well, you know what? I mean, we got a lot of it, so don't worry. We got a lot of it. Well, infinite supply apparently now. I mean, 30 trillion or whatever it is now. God knows what the national debt is now. Don't worry, shut up. All these people around you getting enriched by it, this debt. I mean, this credit card, this household's holding it. It's like, people said, don't worry about it, don't worry. It's like, good God, I mean, could you imagine? How does that work? How does that work? It can't work in perpetuity. It's stupid. And it doesn't work. They call it Keynesianism, but even Keynesianism was better than this crap. It's perverted capitalism at its best. Anti-capitalism, because it creates the opposite effect. It's totally unfair.